What's up, y'all? Snipes-n-Snarfblatts, your unauthorized place for Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Fox. And this is our first 20th Century Fox movie review, and we just got out of Dark Phoenix. So I'm going to go over my real quick first thoughts on Dark Phoenix, just coming straight out the theater. This is straight off the top first thoughts. And you know what? I went into this movie and it just came out of some really bad press. It got some horrible first reviews. And I gotta say, it's not that bad. I mean, first, a quick track run of where we're at. I've been with X-Men for 20 years now. So, I mean, I loved X-Men 1. Part 2 I thought was even better. Part 3 was just a complete mess of garbage that it's hard for me to even find any positive things to say about. And then you go to First Class. First Class, I think, was great for what it was. It was two movies kind of spliced at the last minute, and it really worked in launching this new spot where we are. I loved how the real life came in and stuff like that. So First Class I liked, and that led us to Days of Future Past, which ranks back and forth with X2 to me as the best of all of these. I loved Days of Future Past. And then we fell down a notch with Apocalypse. But see, in my eyes, Apocalypse wasn't a horrible movie. It wasn't a great movie by no means at all, but it was good. It had some real shining problems, but it was good. This one is better than that. I liked this a lot more than Apocalypse. So for me, this is kind of a win. I mean, like I said, it wasn't great by no means, but there are things that are great in this film. One thing that was just spectacular was this was the greatest display of the X-Men's powers and the best feel to the comic books and animated series and the stuff you know from X-Men that people have always followed. This is the best display of their powers we've ever got out of all of these. Like the scenes where they displayed all of their, I mean, you had Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Beast, the scenes where they displayed all their use of power and teamwork and how everything worked, those scenes were just amazing. Not to mention, so was McAvoy and Fassbender as Professor X and Magneto. Once again, I feel like Professor X and Magneto, no matter who has played him, has really been the anchors to these movies all the way through. And they did that once again. They were great in their roles. And I like these new kids too. Now, obviously, I don't like them as much as the X1, X2 cast. And unfortunately, they were also in X3. But X3 that was a mess. But anyway, I liked this new cast. I liked the kids. I could really have got used to seeing more of them. And the actual Dark Phoenix stuff. Now, this Dark Phoenix, the way it starts off is this is the darkest of all the X-Men. The beginning is dark on epic scales. Like, I brought my 5-year-old to see this and was a little bit worried, because it was dark in some places. And they even drop an F-bomb in this, which I was like, wow, we went there. I mean, this thing is dark. It's definitely a different level of that. They wanted to appeal the Dark Phoenix nature of it, and I think they got it right this time. The problem with that is we've got X3, so no matter how great they did it, we're doing something that's already been done. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we're in an alternate timeline now thanks to Days of Future Past, so things skewed a little bit. There's going to be some things that happen in this as she gets the Phoenix power that some of them are out of left field, and one of them I had a feeling was going to happen due to some stuff in the early previews, but I really didn't think they were going to go all in on it, and they went all in. It really blew me away. Now, like I said, this movie's not perfect, though. That's why I say it's not a great movie, and it's not a good movie. It probably would hold its own to First Class for me. I like this movie probably a little bit more than I liked First Class. That's because what it does right, it does so right. It just felt X-Men, you know what I'm saying? But what it did wrong, just it lacked in a couple places. Like, I don't even remember the name of the extra antagonist. They're like this alien race. It's the white-haired girl that I didn't know who she was. But in the comic books, you know, it's the Hellfire Club that really messes with Jean's head and brings that Dark Phoenix persona to its peak of destruction. In this, they use this alien race to replace the Hellfire Club, basically. And I wasn't really feeling them all together, to tell you the truth, but in the long run, they made great cannon fodder for for the sake of showing off all these powers. So that they did great. And the place that I really think this movie dropped the ball was its ending. It just didn't stick the landing. It got a perfect setup and didn't stick the landing, because I was a little let down by the end. And I don't want to get into any spoilers, but the reason I was let down is because a little of it felt old hat. And that leads me back to think that if we were in a world where X3 didn't exist and they hadn't already done most of this, I probably would have liked this and it would have resonated a lot more. Now, as for them saying this was going to be a definitive end for the Fox's universe of X-Men, there's nothing definitive ending about this. So if this is the last one, this is the last one. But it left with hope. It left with more to come. And even though it did leave in a different angle than we would be used to based on what we've already seen. Like I said, this future definitely sets itself up to be an alternate timeline compared to what we were used to going into X1 and X2. But Fox has been all over the place with the continuity for these anyway. They have not kept any consistency in the storyline of how all these go together. So I don't know why I would have expected them to wrap all of these up in a tight little bow, but they did not. It seemed like they still wanted these to go on a bit, and no one stepped in and tried to fix that in the end. So you don't get a sense of finality as more you get a sense of a new beginning. And that was a little weird for me. I really would have liked a sense of finality to the Fox 20 years, because it seems like we're going to see these characters over the next 5-10 years shift over into the MCU proper, and they're going to make their debut there, and they're going to play all together with the MCU as we know it. So even though there wasn't no finality, though, this did do what X-Men movies have done from the jump, and it gave all kinds of little Easter eggs to people who read the comic books. Like, even if you look at some of the groups of kids, you're going to see people that you know that you would have never even thought they would have thrown in there. And just like they used to, it's just a glimpse of them. If you're used to seeing the book, you're like, oh, that's him. Oh, that part was really cool. They give us a bunch of Easter eggs, real fan servicey in that matter. But like I said, this is a decent movie. If you liked First Class, hell, if you liked Apocalypse and you want to see something even better, then you won't be that disappointed with this. Like, is it a Days of Future Past? Is it an X2? Is it going to blow your mind X-wise? No, it's not. But it is a really good X film compared to what they've laid out for us already. So, like I said, I would definitely put this on par with First Class. If there wasn't the nostalgia factor to the original X-Men, I would almost even put this up with this, just due to the all-out grand nature of the powers and how you get to see them displayed. And my only real drawback was that extra antagonist and the fact that a lot of this felt like we've seen it before. But they found ways to enrich it a little bit and still keep it interesting. Like I said, the first 3/4 of this film, I was hanging on every edge. In fact, even in the final act, it had me. It was basically the final maybe 5-10 minutes when it really just, I was like, oh wow, we kind of did this. You just changed some faces, and yeah, we definitely did this before. So, I mean, that was a little drawback, but I mean, if 10 or 15 minutes at the most, like tops, probably 10 minutes, is really what the part I liked in liking, then just the fact that I liked Apocalypse means I have to say I really liked this, because Apocalypse had some bigger problems. I mean, Psylocke was a whole problem. They had some problems with that movie that wasn't here. This movie, it doesn't deserve the low rating and hatred it got in its first showings, because it's not that bad. If you're an X fan and you've stuck with this for 20 years, and like I said, if you like those handfuls that I named first, you'll be in there for this movie. You won't be disappointed at all. I'm happy I went to go see it at Dolby. You should be happy to go see it at a big theater too. It's definitely worth it, especially if you've hung around for this 20 years, and especially if you at least have liked everything you've seen up until now. You will not like this. I'm not going to say you're going to love it. It's not going to be your favorite X film. It's not going to replace those great ones, but it has some real shining moments, and it's definitely worth watching just for the awesome displays of X-Men action you get to see in this one, because they haven't really ever let loose like this, and I thought that was really cool. But once again, I do want to give that forewarning. It is a really, really dark film. So it's got some graphic natured elements to it that wasn't in its predecessors either. But, I mean, all in all, I enjoyed this film. My wife enjoyed this film. My daughter hung on every single second of it. So, like I said, it's better than Apocalypse, as good as most of the other ones, if not, like, totally better. But, I mean, I don't have much bad to say about this. I'm kind of at all, because I thought I was going to have a worse review for this the more I heard about it and I heard going into it. And like I said, the first trailers I wasn't really into, but no, this was a decent film. It was really good, and I would recommend any X fan to go see this movie. You are not going to not like yourself for going to see this. Like I said, what it does right, it does so right. And if it didn't have anything for us to hold up against to say we've already done that, I think we'd be looking at this film a lot higher than we're looking at this film in the first place. So it's sad we don't get to see this new cast go on more, because like I said, I liked them, and I would like to see more of them in the future. But it seems like we've went so far in a direction of alternate universe that we're really going to want to see this thing drawn back in and rebooted and done right to get it in an MCU, and probably get some new fresh faces to play these characters. But definitely a good way to go out on, Fox. I'm so glad you went out on a higher note than what you gave us last, because I wasn't really feeling Apocalypse. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I liked Apocalypse, wasn't great. I actually really liked this, and I'd hold it up against any other one. So go see it, check it out. You probably won't be disappointed if you stuck around for this long when it comes to the X-Men. But that's really all I got on that. So go down, subscribe, check the description. In the description, there's going to be links to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Hit us up on Facebook, because by this weekend, I'm going to really let this sink in like I always do, and I'm going to write out a non-spoiler review that's going to be a little more in-depth, and I'm going to break it down piece by piece and really, really just dissect it. Still no spoilers, but it'll be a more full look on how I really felt about this film, and I'll really have a chance to get it to sink in. And like I said, this is my first thought, so I haven't even really had too much time to think about this other than my initial I'd go check this out. So definitely go see it. Definitely go down there, hit subscribe, check the description for all those links. Follow us on those links so you can see when that full review comes out, and you can keep up with the conversation from here until eternity, because we got a lot of these to go, and this is my first Fox film, definitely not my last, and definitely not my last in the Disney empire. We've actually got one, 2 or 3 weeks from now, we're going to be at Toy Story 4. The show's going to come out every week, so keep checking us out, and until then, to me, my X-Men.